Hey guys, it's finally here. Imola has arrived in F1 2021 and I am absolutely ecstatic because this is one of my favourite tracks ever. It's a track which is extremely fast and always provides an entertaining Grand Prix, as we've seen in the past couple of years since its return to the F1 calendar. So as this track has just released, I've spent the entire time since release racing around this track and optimising this race setup. And the great news is, and not only have we got Imola in this update, we've also got that gorgeous white Red Bull livery, the one that we saw in the Turkish Grand Prix, and boy does it look stunning. So jumping into the setup itself, Imola is an extremely fast track with very few slower corners. You have the slower hairpin, which is taken in second or third gear, and then you have the chicane which leads into the final sector of the lap, which is also slower. But other than that, every corner is taken at high speed, and you're throwing the car from left to right at all times. So to create a car setup that works around here, you need an extremely stable car, one which is very responsive and can turn instantly as you throw it left and right through the fast corners around Imola. So starting with the aero, I've gone with a front wing aero of 7 and a rear wing aero of 8. My philosophy for this setup was to create a car which is ever so slightly understeery, and one which has amazing stability and grip at the rear end. So that's why I'm running an ever so slightly higher rear wing. With this setup, you'll be able to get on the power early through the corners. You may need to brake a touch earlier to get the front end turned in a little bit, but this is only really noticeable in the final 2 corners of the lap when you're braking downhill. Other than that, this setup has more than enough turning ability around the rest of the lap. For the transmission, I've gone with a really high on diff of 85. As I mentioned, this is an extremely fast circuit, so you're going to want to be on throttle as soon as you can through the corners. There really is no reason to lower your on diff because there just aren't that many heavy traction zones. Pair this with an off diff of 60, which will help the car turn a little more in the slower corners, especially the last 2 corners on the lap. For the suspension geometry, I've gone with a camber of -2.8 and -1.2 and a toe of 0.08 and 0.26. This setup's pretty balanced between straight line speed and responsiveness. For the suspension setup, go with 4 and 2, and then go with anti-roll bars of 6 and 1 and a ride height of 3 and 7. By running stiffer front anti-roll bars and slightly stiffer front suspension, you'll have a car which is a little bit more stable as you're throwing it left and right, allowing you to get onto the power early. And the ever so slightly high ride height of 3 and 7 will allow you to ride some of the bumps and curbs a little easier. Then max out your brake pressure at 100%, and go with a brake bias of 57%. You'll be braking from high speed a lot of the time, and there are a lot of corners where you need a quick sharp dab of the brakes. So there aren't too many places where you can lock a wheel. This is why I've maxed out the brake pressure to 100% and gone with a slightly front focused brake bias. Then for the tyre pressures, I've gone with 22.6 on both fronts and 22.7 on both rears. This is about as high as I could get away with before the tyres start to overheat, so definitely don't run any higher than this. And that will do it for my Imola F1 2021 race setup. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm so excited this track has made it into the game, and with this setup, you have a car which you can really throw through all of the corners. This is a track which you need to drive maximum attack all the way around, and this stable setup will allow you to do that. If you do use this setup and enjoy it, drop this video a like as that will really help us out, and let me know in the comment section below whether you love this track as much as I do. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be alerted when more F1 2021 videos drop. But for now guys, I'm going to get back to racing around Imola and I'll see you on track.